So as I was saying that before understanding the concepts of GRC, it is very important for us to understand what is GRC. So GRC stands for governance, risk and compliance. So it is a framework or approach that organizations adopt to manage and align their activities related to governance, risk management and compliance with the applicable laws, regulations and internal policies. So these are the three main pillars: governance, risk management and compliance. And how do we effectively implement all these things in an organization, keeping in mind what are the organization's internal policy? That is what we learn when we are having a certification or a training for GRC. So governance refers to establishment and enforcement of policies, procedures and decision making processes within an organization. Risk management basically involves identifying, then assessing and mitigating potential risks that could impact an organization. And compliance basically refers to being adherence to the applicable laws, regulation, industrial standards and internal policies. So these are the three main pillars. So now I think here it is very important for me to give you an example so that the concept is pretty much more clear to you. So let's consider there is a software development company that develops and sells applications to clients. So in this case, GRC would be implemented. First of all, if we talk about the governance aspect, then for that software company, they need to first, establish a governance framework that includes defining the roles and responsibility of the key stakeholders, such as board of directors, senior executives, and development teams. Then, after doing that, they establish policies and procedures for software development, quality insurance, and project management. So, all this comes under the governance criteria. Then comes compliance. So the company ensures that compliance with the relevant regulations. Say, suppose the company is based in Europe, then what kind of laws will the company be affected with? What kind of laws do the company need to comply with? So if they are working in the European Union, then they need to be compliant with the general data protection regulation, which is there in the European Union. If they are working in India, then we do not right now have a law, but we are into having a law. So we have a bill right now which will soon be passed and become a law. So this is what happens when we talk about governance and compliance. Now if we talk about risk management, so this software company has to see that the product that they're going to launch, whether it could impact or it could have any risk on the data of the people they're using, or that could have any risk of that data getting breached, or any kind of financial information. If any kind of customer is sharing, is there a possibility of breach of that particular information or breach of that particular data? So all these things have to be looked into when we are talking about any kind of a company. So first they have to adhere with governance, then they have to adhere with risk, then they have to adhere with compliance. So this is how a GRC comes into play. Now moving ahead, John A. Whaler Gartner has said that governance risk compliance is a set of practice and processes supported by a risk aware culture and enabling technologies that improve decision making and performance through an integrated view of how well an organization manages its unique sets of risks. So, as per Gartner, the GRC is one of the most important things that any company needs to implement and have that in their structure or in their framework of their company. Now, when we talk about the role of GRC professionals, so if you are a GRC professional in an organization, then what will be your role? So, first, you will be regulating the compliance. So, you will ensure that the company is adhering to all the laws and regulations, and there is minimizing penalties and reputational damages that is done to the company. Then you will see that you need to manage all the risks and see that there is a informed decision making that is happening within the organization. Then data protection and privacy has to be looked into. You have to see that what are the particular laws that the company need to comply with, and if the company is not complying with that particular law, then you need to do a gap assessment and see that which all areas the company is not compliant with, and then need to guide the organization that how they can be compliant with all those legal laws and regulations. Then you will have to see the ethical conduct, which means that ethical guidelines you have to frame, and you have to come up with corporate governance practices and policies. Then you need to plan to mitigate disruptions and ensure interrupted operations within the organization. Then you need to see that there is no fraud that can happen in the company, and you have to implement those systems. Then stakeholder trust. So, being a GRC professional, you will be the one who will be directly in touch with the stakeholders of the company. So, they will have a lot of trust in you because you are the one who will be protecting the organization from any kind of risk, from any kind of heavy penalties, and you'll always be seeing that the company is compliant for the good. So in summary, if I summarize everything, then GRC professionals contribute to regulatory compliance, risk management, data protection, ethical conduct, business continuity, fraud prevention, and stakeholders trust. So I think by this you must be very clear that if you are a GRC professional, then what all you need to do in the organization, and how important and how pertinent your role will be within the organization. So if one is a GRC professional, then these are the day-to-day job role that they'll be doing. So first, they'll be doing a compliance monitoring. So as I've already told, that you need to see what all laws are there and whether you are in sync with all the laws. Your company is following all the best practices possible, and they are being compliant with all the laws and regulation. Then every single step you have to do a risk assessment and management. If there is a new technology that the company is bringing forth, you need to see whether that technology do not pose a risk to any kind of data breach. If the company is trying to implement a software or a tool within an organization for HR purposes, or for recruiting purposes, or for any kind of purpose, if a company is trying to adopt a new software, you need to see whether that software is trustworthy, reliable, or compliant with the laws that are in that particular country. Then you need to develop a policy. So when you're developing a policy, you need to see that the policy is ethically right, and the policy is in sync with the company's visions and missions. Then you need to do internal controls and audit. Every time there has to be a systematic audit that has to be done in the organization. Then training and making other employees aware that these are the laws, this is how you can be compliant with the law. So if there is any software developer in the organization, or a team of software developer in an organization, you need to always train them. You need to train the HRs, tell them what is compliance, how we have to be compliant with the laws, what can pose risk to an organization. So you have to always be conducting training and awareness programs within the organization. Then incident response and investigation. So if there is any kind of data breach that has occurred, then you need to immediately respond to that data breach and investigate deep root causes of that particular data breach. Then collaborations and communication, as you are the one who is the most trusted by the stakeholders of the company, so you always have to be the channel which is in between the stakeholders and the other employees of the company. Then compliance reporting. You have to see what are the particular formats that is being followed in a particular country, and make a compliance report in that particular format and submit to the supervisory authorities within that particular area or within that particular country. Then you have to always stay updated. I'm so sorry. Then you always have to stay updated with the regulations and the standards that are there. So law is evolving every time because technology is also evolving very fast. So you have to see that, whether you are updated with the particular regulations and standards. So for example, if we talk about chat gpt, so it has been banned in particular countries. So if you are a grc professional, you have to keep that in mind, that this kind of technology has been banned from this country, and whether or not my company, my organization, or the employees working in my company are using that kind of technology or not. So you have to always, be on the sale, and you have to always be well informed and well aware of these things. Then while you're adopting, your company or organization is adopting any kind of technology and tools, then you have to see whether that tool or whether that technology is compliant with the legal framework within the country or not. So overall, GRC professionals plays a critical role in ensuring that organizations adhere to regulations, manage risks effectively, and maintain a culture of compliance and ethical conduct. So your day-to-day activities involves monitoring compliance, assessing risk, developing policies, conducting audits, training employees, investigating incidents, collaborating with stakeholders, and reporting on compliance activities. So it's a very vast role, I must say that. It's a role that involves everything. It involves stakeholders, it involves the different categories of workers you are having in your organization. So it involves everybody in an organization. So being a grc professional is a very critical and as well as a very important role in the current days. So, if you are willing to have a GRC certification, then you are preferred to have a graduate degree, but it is not restricted to any specific field. So, a bachelor's degree or higher, preferably in computer science, engineering, or any related scientific field would be good enough. Otherwise, if you're not from computer background, then also it's a good way to get into any organization by being a GRC professional, because it's all about understanding the governance, risk, and compliance mechanism. It's okay if you're not from computer science background, but you have a good knowledge of computers and technology and technological aspects. Then also you are an eligible candidate for having a GRC certification and making your career in GRC profession. So now the every now I've explained that what will be your everyday role if you choose to be a GRC professional. Now let's understand that through way of case studies that how GRC professionals have helped. So the tenant healthcare GRC compliance case it is a very prominent healthcare organization case. So there was this tenant healthcare organization which faced allegations of fraudulent billing practices and violations of healthcare regulations. So they were very serious charges, and those charges happened because a whistleblower filed a lawsuit against tenant healthcare. Uh, that whistleblower accused the company of engaging in fraudulent billing practices to maximize Medicare and reimbursements. So the allegations included, upcoding, unbundling services, and submitting false claims for reimbursement. So at that point in time, the case attracted significant attention and scrutiny from government agencies, including the Department of Justice, the Office of Inspector General. So the investigation revealed evidence of systematic fraudulent practices by the company. So when there was a intense investigation into this case, they were proved that they were following some fraudulent practices. So now what happened that in the response to allegations, Tenant Healthcare initiated internal investigations and implemented various measures to address compliance deficiencies and improve their governance, risk management, and compliance practices. So now, realizing that now they have done a fraudulent practices and there are many aspects under which they are not compliant, what they did was they hired new leadership, implemented comprehensive compliance program, and established new policies and procedures to ensure adherence to the applicable laws and regulations. So finally, after doing all of this, then Tenant Healthcare reached a settlement with the DOJ and other government entities to resolve the allegations. So the settlement involved healthcare paying a substantial amount in fines and penalties, as well as entering into a corporate integrity agreement with the government officials. Now, after this, the Tenant Healthcare also submitted their plea that they will, have all the practices in place, and they will have a GRC compliance report in the place, and they will have GRC team in place, which is every time looking at their compliances, their governance mechanisms, and also telling them the risks that are involved while they are working as an organization. So next, there was another Equifax data breach in 2017. It is also one of the most significant and widely publicized cybersecurity incident. So it involved the unauthorized access and theft of sensitive personal information of approximately 147 million consumers from Equifax. So Equifax is one of the largest credit reporting agencies in the United States. So, while studying this case, it was pointed out that if they would have had a proper GRC team in place, if they would have proper GRC professional, then first of all, this kind of breach would never have occurred. If that kind of breach would have occurred, that would have been highlighted very soon, because this breach occurred in July, but Equifax got to know late in sorry, this happened in May, and Equifax got to know late in July. So so much of data by that time would have stolen, and would have been misused. So if there would have been a GRC professional or a GRC professional team, then this would not have happened. They would have quite early known about the data breach. They would have taken the relevant steps that were required, and they would not have been, encountered with so many lawsuits after that, so many investigations after that, and they would not have ended up paying a huge financial penalty. So this is the importance of a GRC professional in a team, in an organization. They could even prevent from happening such grave data breaches. And even though if that kind of data breach have occurred, they are well aware, or of the fact that this kind of data breach has occurred, and they would have immediately taken a step or taken an action. But when such kind of team or team of professional is not there in an organization, these things are delayed, and there is no one particular person whom you can ask for reports, whom you can ask for investigation, whom you can ask to respond in time of breaches. So, I hope now all of you must have understood the importance of a GRC professional. Are there any questions till now, if you want to ask?
Yeah, is there any particular tool we gonna learn through like SAP GRC or ServiceNow GRC?
So, what particular thing you want to learn from a tool?
No, no,
If
I am asking in the training.
Mhm,
Yeah, are we
mhm.
following any particular tool for the GRC?
No. This is a basic training which will provide you the basic, content, that as to what is GRC, what is privacy, what are the standards that you need to follow, how you can actually help the organization mitigate the risks. So all of this will take place. I'll just after this slide, my next slide was sharing the course curriculum with you. So I think by sharing the course curriculum, you'll be more clear with what we will be doing in this training session.
Okay, but in the companies, we need to follow any particular tool, right, for
Yeah.
implementing GRC?
See, every company has their own tools. So there is no common tool that is being followed. Some are doing SAP, some are doing OneTrust. So there are n number of GRC tools that are there. So it depends upon the organization. Once you're aware with the concept, then using a tool is not an issue for any individual. So it will be very easy for you to use the tool once you're aware that what the concepts are, what is required to be done, how is it required to be done, and how is it required to be put in documents. So when you are well aware of all those things, then using a tool will never be an issue.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other question? Okay, then I think I can start again. So can you all see my screen? Can
Yeah,
Yes, yes, it is visible.
Okay, thank you. So, when we talk about course curriculum, so let me take you through the topics that we'll be covering in this training. So first will be infosec introduction. So here you'll learn the definitions, the three pillars. Then there will be a cybersecurity intro. So this will be a very basic module. It is basically for those also who do not have any knowledge of GRC. It is first for them, so they'll also get to know. It will be from a scratch, so there'll not be any issue or problem if you are new to this field. Then we have infosec concepts, where we'll be discussing the subject and object, then personal security. Then in session 3, we'll dig into cybersecurity domains, where we'll be discussing network, app, IAM, endpoint, privacy, GRC. So in this, you'll get to know basic frameworks about privacy, basic frameworks about GRC. Then we'll dig into governance, where you will learn to know leadership and board policy, then standards and procedures that an organization needs to follow. What are the policies that an organization needs to follow? In the next session, that will be session 5, you learn about data classifications. So how do you label the objects and how do you label the data? Then data ownership, who owns the data, whether you have all your consents in place or not. If anything is without any consent, what do you do with that data? Then managing the data, then destructuring the data within the organization as per the needs of the organization. Then in the sixth session, you will learn about risk management, risk elements, risk technologies, risk life cycles. So if sorry, risk terminologies, and then risk life cycle. So what are the elements of risk, how you can identify risks, what are the terminologies that are used when you have identified a particular risk, then what is a life cycle of one particular risk. So all these you will be learning in risk management. Then the next session will be dealing with risk identification. How do you identify a risk? How do you assess a risk? What are the steps that you need to follow? Then risk can harm my organization, or is it a risk that we cannot at all do away with, or if we can take any particular steps to mitigate that particular risk. So all this you will be learning in this session. Then how do you treat a risk, how do you monitor a risk, and how do you register a risk. So if a risk has happened, now how do you treat that risk, whether you need to inform it to the stakeholders, what kind of actions you can immediately take upon that risk. So all this is taught in this session. Then comes the security control. So security types: physical, technical, and administrative security types. Then there will be an assignment which will given to you. Then very interesting, you will be taught about data privacy. So all the concepts around general data protection regulation, which is there in Europe. So general data protection regulation is a framework that is followed in the entire European Union when we talk about data privacy. And GDPR has been adopted by many other countries. They have made few changes, few amendments in the law of their region or the law of their country, but the basic framework is evolving around GDPR only. Except for USA, I think rest all the countries are somehow trying to follow the GDPR framework only. They have their own changes, they have their own amendments as per the need of that particular area, that particular country, but more or less the basic principles and the concepts are evolving around GDPR only. Then we have SOC and ISO in the compliance one. Then there another assignment. Then after that we'll be having control testing procedure, that how do you test, how do you control, that sort of training will be provided. And finally, then after having two assignments and after taking all these sessions, you will be provided with a certification.
Uh,
So, what are the reasons to certify as a GRC professional? GRC certifications provide comprehensive training and education on governance, risk management, and compliance principle. Then the best practices. So, through this certification process, as professional, you can gain a deeper understanding of GRC, and then you can make informed decisions and effectively manage risks within your organization. There are a lot of career advancement opportunities. So with GRC certifications, you can actually enhance your career prospects, as there will be many new doors. Many employers value certified professionals because they can demonstrate their commitment to professional development, and their ability to handle complex GRC challenges automatically increases, because now they have certification, and that means that they have quite a good knowledge of these principles. The certification can also increase job prospects because an uncertified GRC professional is always given an edge upon a a certified GRC professional is always given an edge upon uncertified GRC professional. So certification can always increase job prospects. It can enhance earning, and enable professionals to pursue senior level roles or specialized position in GRC. So if you're already in the domain, then having a certification can always lead to good promotions, or could always push you to get those senior level roles. There is always a industrial recognition and credibility that comes to your shoulders if you are a certified GRC professional. Uh, After that, you are always in sync with global standards and best practices. So this kind of certification helps you to be on the board, and uh, if there is any kind of organization that is employing, then this certification will always leave a mark. Then this kind of certification helps you, gives you a lot of networking opportunities as well. So while you are doing your certifications, you will be with other fellow colleagues, so that gives you one, networking opportunities. Again, you will be, interacting by way of your course. You can always do good research work and come out with good research papers, which you can post it on social media. So they always, gives you an edge, and you can have a lot of social networking opportunities through it. You can go to various conferences because you are now a certified GRC professional, so people will be giving you an ear to hear what is your takeaways, or what is your ideologies, or what concepts you know better. So these are the reasons why you should be get why you should get a certificate as a GRC professional. Then who are the individuals who can take GRC certification? So it can start from soon after you are a graduate. Already, if you are into risk and compliance, this certification will prove to be very beneficial for you. If you are into IT sector and information security, having this certificate can always help you. Healthcare and privacy, I've just discussed the healthcare case. So since healthcare organizations are having sensitive personal data, so those are the organizations that require GRC professional very much. So if you are already a part of healthcare sector, then it is very good for you to have a GRC certification. This could help you within your own organization to reach to a senior level, and to make your organization aware about GRC concepts. Then if you are into financial and audit, this certification is very helpful. So any kind of financial company, whether a credit card company or a bank, they always require GRC professionals. So if you're already into one, then it's good. If you're trying to be into one, then this certification will always give you an edge. Then legal and regulatory. So if you are a lawyer, or you are into regulation, and you want to enter into an organization, so if you have a GRC certification, it is always good, because you have legal knowledge, and then you have GRC knowledge as well. So it always gives you an edge in an organization. Then what are the benefits? So we've already discussed that if you're a GRC professional, you can help into audits, strategy management, business processes, policies and procedures, performance management, risk management. So this is a complete package. What you can expect from an individual when such individual is working for an organization, this is a complete package that any kind of organization looks into an individual for. That they really want to save their cost, they want to hire one person who is handling everything. So this is like a complete package. Through this certification, you can have a knowledge of all these things, which makes you that complete package. So, what are the packages that you can get after GRC certification? So, this I have not written with my own fancies and will. This is the data that is already available on the internet. You can always have a look. So, all these figures are in USD. They are not in INR. So, if you are a GRC consultant or an analyst, then you can have a 60,000 or 1,20,000 USD per year. If you are a compliance manager, risk manager, internal auditor, data privacy and security specialist, data governance specialist, compliance officer. So these are the roles that you can look into after your GRC certifications, and this is a kind of salary that you can draw from an organization if you are a GRC specialist. So moving ahead, then for this session, I was looking into the jobs that are already available if you are a GRC certified professional. So this is LinkedIn screenshot. So the first job that you can see is consultant. 1 minute, I'll just use a pointer for this. So this is the consultant governance, risk and compliance. So this is GRC only that is required. So you can see that it is a 2-week old job. So They are a lot into demand right now. Next, you can see Deputy Vice President Policy Risk and Compliance, which is required by SBI. And one thing that you can see here is that this job has been posted 4 weeks ago, and there are only 23 applicants for a job that has been posted by SBI. There are only 23 applicants in India. This is quite shocking because, whenever you apply for any kind of job in India, you will always see that there are 500 applications, there are 400 applications, there are 1000 applications. So your visibility in those applications is like 0.05% or 0.02%. So because with such a wide number, there are only point of chance that your resume will be even viewed, or your resume will be even downloaded. So when your resume is not even being viewed, then what are the chances of you getting that particular job? I think it's near to null and void. One more I want you all to look into. So this is GRC consultant, which is required by Danta Technologies in US. And now you see that this job has been posted 5 days ago, and there is only one applicant to this. So can you see that there are so many jobs which are there? And please see the ratio of people who are applying to such job, because they are not qualified to apply for such jobs. They do not have right certifications in place. They do not have correct knowledge of the concept, so they don't even bother to apply for these kinds of job, because they know that they cannot sit into the interviews. Then there is no point in applying. Another, if you can see this is in Saudi Arabia, and it was posted 4 days ago. This is GRC specialist, and there are only two applicants for this job. So see, once you're a trained GRC specialist, once you're a certified GRC specialist, your chance of having a good job increases. I don't want to say the percentage, but it increases exhibitantly. So having a certification, having the correct knowledge, having the right principles in place, you can actually land up getting a very good job. So after participating in our training session, which will be led by an instructor, you will be completing assignments and projects. And after viewing your assignments and your project, then you will be eligible for the certification. So how do you do? What is the GRC procedure? So it is capture, evaluate, operationalize, analyze, and then report. And after reporting, what will you do? Improve. So this is just to give you a brief picture of all that we have had. And I think the best time to start with the GRC certification, I think it is today, because you have now the basic idea about the framework, the basic idea about the principles. You can also yourself go and Google what is the job requirements, what are the benefits of being a GRC professional, and then you can take a wise decision on your own. So that is it from my side. Thank you.